As per our instructions here, you have to bleed the air out of the hydraulic tensioner. So let's go do that. And we're going to firstly take the weight on the hydraulic piston and remove the pin. So we'll throw that up into there, just a little bit of weight on there, and the pin comes out. Now what we're going to do is let the hydraulic piston extend nice and slowly. Doesn't come out very far, that's about it. Now we're going to compress this and release it 3 times. But here's the important thing, you need to go very slowly, because it isn't just a spring holding this piston out. When you try and compress it, you're forcing oil through very, very small galleries. So you can't just compress it like it's a spring, because you'll blow the seals and damage internal components. So just take it up in little tiny increments, and just, you might not be able to see it, but my clamp is just flexing a little and then relaxing as the oil goes through the galleries. You really want to take your time, and it's the service bulletin that comes with it says that every cycle should take longer than 1 minute. That's a bit excessive, but you get the idea. They want you to go very, very slowly. Just creep that piston down all the way. See how slow this is getting. I should have had a beer. Anyway, you get the picture. We're going to do this 3 times, then pop the pin back in. The piston may creep around a little, see the holes won't line up, the through holes, but one time when you've got it extended for the last time, just use your pin, drag that piston round so the holes line up. While it's extended, you can get to the piston hole obviously, and then do your last compression and it'll line up fair enough. Then you're ready to go. Okay, so coming over to our car, first thing you should do is take it for a big long drive, lots of revs, and get it nice and hot so you burn yourself on everything that you touch. Just joking. Best to do this when it's cold. Alright, you'll notice I've started taking these little bolts out. They're just evenly scattered around that cover, and you'll see here they have a little shoulder and collar there to protect the plastic, so don't lose those. You'll notice too that I've also loosened the power steering bracket, just to give you some more room to get down into those fun areas. Makes it a little easier. It's only 3 bolts, why not? So I've just removed the tensioner, which was just taking out the 2 bolts down there, which obviously once you take it off, those 2 bolts and this just pops off. Of course, because that piston's under a little bit of pressure, it does kick a little away a little. Now that tensioner was holding this idler arm against the belt, and you can see below there, that's the bottom bolt, and in behind here, you can't see it, behind the wheel is the other one, but it's pretty easy to see once the bolt head's there. So once you take that tensioner out, all the tension flops off the belt. Remove it from the top one first, because the bottom belt has got like a captive wall on it to hold it. So take the belt off the top pulley, and that'll just fall straight out. So that goes to the bin. Now we'll go get our new belt and have a look. There we go. So first job, we've got our idler assembly just floating around there. We've got our 10mm Allen key. Let's see if I can get that in on the camera. And that's nice and tight. We'll give that a good pull. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead, put a little bit of thread lock on our thread on the Allen bolt for the idler assembly, and you'll notice that it bolts up against the washer onto this shoulder here. so that it lets this move. If you like left the washer out, for example, you might not have that clearance and it'll bind the idler assembly solid. So because when we assemble this, make sure you can still move it quite easily, because it should be able to move quite easily. So a little bit of thread lock rather, and we'll whack that in. Righto, so I've almost got that all the way home. Then I'll tighten it up with my 10mm Allen key. And remember, you can bolt this in around the wrong way. So if this piston matching face is on this side, yeah, you put it in backwards. So let's put that in the right way. Otherwise your belt won't go on and won't last very long. So I'll get that up tight, and then I'll chuck the Allen key on it and do it up FT, which is trade talk for fucking tight. And then we'll put the hydraulic tensioner, whoop, focus you fucking thing. Then we'll put our tensioner vertically under here. Alright, so we'll tighten this up and then mount our tensioner. Okay, so now I've just tightened up that Allen key, and you can see I can move the idler assembly nice and easy. I did up tight, not actually that tight. Remember, it's just going into a cast block. It was hard coming out, obviously, because it was thread locked in, so don't confuse that for it needs monster tension. Just needs to be nice and tight. If you're a straight 180 nerd, you may want to jump into your service manual and actually get a torque figure for it and all of that, yeah, go crazy, but not today. So let's get that tensioner in. Righto, so we got the first bolt in the bottom of the tensioner. Wait for this to focus. As you can see, I just popped the fan off to give myself some room, because I've got size 100 hands, and people usually call me Hodor, so I need a little bit more room. So obviously, if you're going to do that, you then need to put a breaker bar on your pulley down there to loosen off the serpentine belt to whack the belt back on, or the fan back on, but that's no problem. Alright, so we'll get the second bolt in, and that'll line it up with where the pulley sits. So let's do that. Alright, so as you can see there, probably upside down, but the tensioner's in, bolted twice, one on the bottom, one on the right hand side up high. A little nick in my hand, tiny, but yeah, not too tight on those, because you're Loctiting them and you're obviously bolting into cast alloy, so just nice and tight's fine. Then you can rest that on there. When I took the fan off, obviously saw this pulley move, not lining up with my marks anymore, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and set the timing on this pulley to the right timing mark, and of course then we'll have to do it with the top one, so we'll do that next. Alright, so we've got the bottom pulley lined up. That video that I just took, obviously it was upside down because I was using the camera hanging down there to see the arrow plus the cutout on the pulley. So the arrow on the block, cutout on the pulley. And you can see that that's a proximity sensor. And those little raised tabs you can see are actually, they'll be sensors for that proximity sensor. So ignore those raised sections. It's the little cutout V on the pulley, back of the pulley, and on the block it's that it's quite a easy to see triangle when you're obviously down there. Right, so now we'll line up the top one. This one's super duper simple. Ignore my battle scars from my big hands. These are really sharp and my hands are huge. Right, so up the back we have our timing triangle, and on the front face where oh yeah, you can see a cutout right there on the tooth. So we'll just back that back a little so that lines up. Perfect. Alright, let's get a belt on. Alright, so as you can see here, belt's on. I'll put the bottom on first because it's got that capture guard, so it must go on first. Around the idler and up on the top sprocket. Now, it's pretty hard to get a whole tooth out because the belt is quite rigid, but what we're going to do is we'll pull the grenade pin so it's tensioned. Once we check that everything's still lined up, of course that looks good, we'll chuck you down. You're going to go upside down for a second, so hang on to your seat. You might fall off your computer chair. Hopefully there, we look like we're still lined up. Now what we're going to do is we'll pull the grenade pin, and hopefully the motor doesn't grenade when we start it. We'll keep that pin up there handy, you might need that in a minute. Have a quick look at our timing. No, it's still dead on there. And still dead on there. So now, nice and tight, we're going to rotate the crank a few times, at least once. Make sure those timing marks stay lined up. And then we're pretty much good to go. So let's do that. I'll go and do a full rotation, then we'll come back. Okay, I've done a complete lap of the crank, well, according to the top pulley. Let's go down and see if the bottom pulley timing marks lined up. And the top pulley looks like we're good to go. Righto, with that all back together, pin out, belt tight, timing set, we're ready to go and put our cover back on. Just wanted to point something out to you. At the bottom of the cover, as you're looking at it from behind, you'll see this little trap. Keep an eye on this area here underneath. That'll tell you if any of your seals are gone in your pulleys. Because the oil will weep out of there and come out of there, and you'll get that little drip from that spot. So if you find oil there, you pretty much know what you're up for. It's either your camshaft pulley or your crank pulley seal has gone. Luckily enough, you can just pull those pulleys off, new seal in, you're away. Alright, we'll put this cover back on. Rightio, now the moment of truth, everything's put back together, cover's tightened, hands back on, but remember you did need to do that, monster hands. Anyway, so another tip too is when you're rotating the crank pulley with your 19mm socket, do it very gently and slow. You'll notice that you may hit like a mechanical stop. That's actually your piston touching your valve, so don't smack into that, don't push too hard. If you back off a little and then rotate your top pulley, you know, a rotation, or you know, quarter rotation rather, and then have another go, you'll find it'll probably miss the valve and you can keep rotating the crank. So you may need to do that a few times when you're doing that full turn. Alrighty, so I'm just about to start it. If you do actually start it and you hear tapping or knocking, turn it off straight away. Probably just had valve contact. But if you follow the steps we've done, it won't be a problem. So let's start her up. Oh, sounds pretty good.